What's up, everyone? Eddie Mercado here with BloodyElbow.com, and I'm about to speak with the number 9 ranked UFC lightweight Beneil Dariush ahead of his UFC Fight Night 98 Mexico City bout with Rashid Magomedov. So let's give Beneil a call and find out what he's been up to since his last bout, find out what he's doing to prepare for the altitude in Mexico City, and maybe see what he has in store for Magomedov. Mr. Beneil Dariush, how are you, sir?
Good, good. How's everything?
Things are well, things are well. You have a huge fight on your hands. You're headed to Mexico City for UFC Fight Night 98. Rashid Magomedov is on your plate. What are your thoughts?
Pretty excited for this fight. The only new thing for me is the elevation. I've never fought an elevation before, but Rashid himself, good fighter, well-rounded, very calm and methodical. That's pretty much what I've seen from him.
Yeah, he's definitely, like you said, methodical, cerebral, very fluid, volume striker. So as of right now, you're 13-2 overall, 7-2 in the UFC, currently ranked number 9. Training out at Kings MMA with the legendary Rafael Cordero. How is training going?
Training's great. We're actually right now in Mammoth in California. It's about 8,000, a little over 8,000 here elevation. So
Okay.
just getting used to it, and pretty happy about training. Can't complain.
Okay, what do you notice is the biggest difference when fighting at elevation?
Like they say, it's just hard to breathe.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of oxygen up here.
Yeah, from what I hear, it's really the muscles just don't have the oxygen to perform. Like, it's not necessarily cardio, but it's just your the muscles cannot get the oxygen.
Yeah, so you start slowing down a lot quicker.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. How did you even get into MMA? You seem like a pretty intelligent gentleman. Why such a savage sport?
I don't know if I'm that intelligent. I just I've always liked knowing who the toughest guy in the room is. So even as a kid, that was one of the things. So one day I was in high school. I tried wrestling. It was pretty fun, and it was supposed to be just a hobby. I tried jiu-jitsu as a hobby to keep me in shape while I go to college and focus on becoming an accountant. And things kind of changed. Jiu-jitsu took over instead of school. And slowly I was doing less school and more training, and out of nowhere I had an MMA fight.
Okay, awesome. And right now, currently number 9 in the lightweight division, which is arguably one of the most competitive divisions. I mean, they call it the Shark Tank. I mean, what are your thoughts on just how stacked the lightweight division is, and why do you think it's one of the most competitive divisions?
I think if you look at the average person's size, they're closer to my size, so a lot more people, meaning a lot more depth. And usually guys my size are faster, they need technique, and they're pretty strong. So you have a lot of knockouts, you have a lot of different skill sets from everybody.
Okay. What do you think it'll take to get the heavyweight division to at least somewhat resemble the lightweight division in terms of technique and athleticism?
Big athletes, most of them go to NFL or even basketball. It's money, I guess you could say. These sports, at least in America, you go to these sports right through high school and college, so it's a faster gate. They have a better chance of going to those sports just because from an earlier age. A lot of times we don't really have any gateway sports to MMA like that. Maybe if we had jiu-jitsu in high school, that could help. But I think bigger money would be another thing, because all these big athletes, right away people notice them. So they're able to go to these sports a lot faster or be seen a lot faster. So maybe bigger money for the bigger guys.
Okay, that makes sense. And I would love to see it, you know. So let's take you through your UFC career. You're 7-2. You were on a you were on a 5-fight winning streak before you met Michael Chiesa. Now, in that fight, you landed some really good leg kicks early, but in the second round, he managed to find your back in the scramble, got the submission victory. What was your biggest takeaway from that match?
Just, Michael Chiesa had a really good night, and he stayed focused between rounds, and he came out really strong in the second. I went in the first round, and I did what I was supposed to, and then came back second round. I didn't make any adjustments, and I didn't stay focused, and I think that was really what he did better than me, and that's how he won that fight. You can see the difference in focus between rounds for him and myself.
Okay, is that one of the fights you would like to get back?
Yeah, for sure. I want to avenge all my losses. That would be ideal.
Okay, well, hopefully he will continue to win, and you will continue to win, and it'll be inevitable.
That would be ideal.
All right, so after that fight, you had a rather quick turnaround. 2 months later, you're back in the cage. You're taking on an undefeated fighter in James Vick. I mean, why such a fast turnaround for that?
It was like 5 weeks. I didn't want to be home with such a bad performance. I didn't want to be home and just thinking about it. So the quicker I got to fight, the faster I can get back out there and get my job done and get it out of my system a little bit. It still doesn't change the loss, but it helped.
Okay. Now, I mean, you really let your hands go against Vick, and you hurt him, you dropped him, you knocked him out. How did it feel to kind of bounce back in such spectacular fashion?
It was good. It was one of those things where I was really struggling after the loss. Spent a lot of time praying and just kind of trying to get my focus back, my spirit back, and that victory really helped me out a lot.
Okay. Now, you are one of the guys who make it a point to give thanks to your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ following your fights. Can you kind of speak on how important faith is in your personal life and why you feel like it is of the most importance to kind of witness after your fights?
So before I was a Christian, I made victory my center. Victory was the only thing that mattered to me, and now the difference is Jesus is that. So I want people to know that, and I want them to see the change in me. I don't know if a lot of people out there will know the change, but a lot of people who've known me for a long time are able to see the change since I've made that, since I've decided to put Jesus instead of winning in my center.
Okay. Now, on your plate right now, UFC Fight Night 98, Mexico City. Have you ever been to Mexico?
Yeah, I went there when Fabricio fought, or was supposed to fight Cade the first time.
Okay, so you kind of experienced the kind of elevation that you're going to be dealing with, and I'm sure Fabricio had to go through the same kind of altitude training for that as well. So it's kind of familiar a little bit?
Yes and no. I mean, it's familiar, but I never actually fought. I just went there for training. So the fight will be interesting.
Okay, now your opponent, Rashid Magomedov, I mean, what do you think is your clear, or not clear, but most, we'll say, the least path of resistance?
I think people will say go for the takedown and try to use your takedowns, but it can't be just that, because if you look at Durinho Gilbert Burns, one of the best jiu-jitsu guys, and he tried that, and it worked against him because he was so worried about the striking. Mm-hmm. It hurt him. So I need to make sure I go out there, I use all my skill sets. I use my striking, I use my wrestling, I use my jiu-jitsu, and don't feel uncomfortable anywhere. I think that's going to be really big.
Okay, now he's got 4 victories in the UFC. 10 of his overall victories have come by way of decision. What are you going to do to kind of prevent him from stealing rounds and getting ahead on the scorecards?
He likes to kind of lay back and control the pace. I'm going to make sure I have control of the pace, and he doesn't. That's really important.
Okay. Now, I mean, what are you expecting in Mexico City? I mean, What do you expect the atmosphere is going to be like? Do you think it's going to be a little bit taxing on you, or do you think it's going to be 100% focus, or what are you expecting?
I think I should be focused out there. Everything should be good, especially not having anyone with me as far as family and people that could distract me. The What I'm looking forward to is to see if the crowd will be actually for me or against me, because I've had a lot of Latin America guys come in, train with us, especially the guys who did the Ultimate Fighter, and usually when I fight, I usually get booed. So I'm interested to see if that'll change this fight.
Why do you think you get booed?
Not born in America. When I walk out, it's not the American flag. So they put the country you're born in, that flag. So that could have something to do with it.
Okay. Do you think it's also maybe the fans haven't had a chance to really get to know your personality at all?
Probably. I mean, they probably don't even know I speak English a lot of the time.
That could be. That could very well be. Well, what is your training camp like for this fight, and what exactly specifically are you doing for the altitude? Of course, you said you're training up at elevation.
A lot of high intensity workouts, or sprints, and making sure I'm able to get the oxygen back between rounds, being able to recover. That's really important, I think, out here, and just doing your regular normal routines, but up here is just a whole different thing. And then on top of that high intensity training, we do a little bit more out here just so I can get my oxygen levels higher.
Okay. And how's Kings MMA going? I spoke to John Tuck recently, and he had the nicest things to say about you. I mean, it is a squad of killers. You got Giga Chikadze out there. I mean, it's Murder's Row.
Yeah, Kings right now is it's great. I'm really happy to be part of Kings MMA, and I consider it a blessing. John is a great guy. We're really happy to have him. I wish he could stay longer. He lives in Guam. I don't know if you know, but he comes and stays with us when he has fights. I feel really bad for his last fight. He spent so much time with us, and then on his way to Philippines, he finds out the fight was canceled. So that sucked.
Yeah, that was tough for him, but luckily he got rebooked. He's got one coming up, so hopefully that'll get all squared away. And that was just so weird about that card getting canceled, the Manila card. I don't even know what was going on with that.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either, but you would have thought someone would have been able to replace BJ, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it was weird. Well, you got a prediction for this fight? How do you see the Magomedov fight playing out?
I want to finish. I don't know whether it's going to be on the feet or a submission, but I want to finish.
Okay, now with a finish, what would you want after that? Obviously, top 10. Someone in the top 10, close to top 5.
Actually, I don't even care. Look, my last opponent was 5-0. This guy's 4-0. As long as they keep giving me tough guys like this, I don't really care. Okay. I just want to fight the best guys in the world, and I think right now I'm doing that.
Is that the goal? I mean, because you really are. I mean, if you look at your resume, I mean, you got Jim Miller, Michael Johnson. I mean, you really you're building a resume. Is that really more important to you than titles or belts?
For sure. I mean, it's just a 12-pound strap that, I mean, you don't really do anything with it. It doesn't prove anything. For me, who I fight is way more important. And again, my crown comes from Jesus Christ. It doesn't come from, some belt.
Okay, yeah, I dig it. Now, you got any sponsors or people you want to give a shout out to?
No sponsors. Just want to thank my family for always supporting me and my teammates. Kings MMA is the best gym in the world.
Awesome. And how can people follow you on your journey? What are your Twitter handles, social media platforms?
If you can just spell my name, you can find everything. Because I think I might have the only Beneil Dariush in the world. All my accounts are just Beneil Dariush at Twitter or at Gmail or at everything. So,
awesome. Yeah, I mean, I thought I had the same thing. I thought I was the only Eddie Mercado, but turns out there's like a whole army of us. So all my Eddie Mercados are stolen. I can't Snapchat it or, So that's a blessing. That's a fortunate place to be. Well,
that's true.
Beneil Dariush, thank you so much for taking out the time to speak with me. UFC Fight Night 98, November 5th. Rashid Magomedov is on your plate. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thanks, man. You guys have a good one.
Yes, sir. You too. So there you have it. The number 9 ranked UFC lightweight Beneil Dariush set to take on Rashid Magomedov at UFC Fight Night 98 in Mexico City on November 5th. Go check it out. In the meantime, you can read me on bloodyelbow.com. Follow me on Twitter at @the Eddie Mercado. And go be a good person.